Near the southwest edge of LA's Watts neighborhood, you'll find Verbum Dei Jesuit High School, a modest Catholic high school that's adjacent to the industrial Union Pacific train tracks that cross South Central Avenue. But behind the Verb's iron decorative gates is a different world. A tranquil campus that rests upon an exceptional history of sports, academics, and a legacy of hope that spans more than a half a century. So how did this modest Catholic school find a way to help bridge the achievement gap for South LA students? And what does this school mean today? In August of 1962, the Los Angeles Times reported on the education expansion plan of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, which included the creation of Verbum Dei High School, an all-boy Catholic school that would serve Southeast Los Angeles along with the all-girl Catholic high school in Compton. Verbum Dei, which is Latin for Word of God, was backed by the Youth Education Fund, a long-standing initiative led by Archbishop Reverend J. Francis A. McIntyre, who collected donations from the Catholic Church to fund the construction of new elementary and high schools in areas that were unable to finance Catholic schools. Verbum Dei and Regina Cayley High Schools were the first Catholic schools built to serve Southeast Los Angeles, which has stood as a working-class region of Los Angeles for decades. The Archdiocese of Los Angeles approved Verbum Dei to begin instruction in the fall of 1962 at St. Leon's Catholic Church, under the steering of the Society of the Divine Word, a Catholic congregation that has focused on missionary work in underserved communities. A year after Verbum Dei began instruction at St. Leon's Church, the Archdiocese of Los Angeles contracted the construction of Verbum Dei's $1.5 million campus, which was backed by the Youth Education Fund and designed by Roy W. Donnelly. The construction, which would sit on a former 15-acre steel plant site, would include a chapel, 16 classrooms, including a science laboratory and lecture halls, a multi-purpose hall, and an administration building. Father Joseph A. Francis of the Society of the Divine Word served as the school's first principal and led the school through the construction of its new home. During its first year of instruction at St. Leon's Catholic Church, Verbum Dei had a class of 67 ninth grade students, but Father Francis and the Archdiocese of Los Angeles had their sights set on growth. With expansion in mind, the school was being built to hold 640 students and capable of being expanded to accommodate more than 1,000. And with the addition of its new permanent facilities, it would help the staff at Verbum Dei offer a 3-track curriculum in college preparatory, general, and business for all attending students. The Society of the Divine Word opened Verbum Dei's permanent campus in the fall of 1964 with a growing enrollment of 230 students between the 9th and 11th grades. Father Francis was instrumental in the initial and long-lasting success of Verbum Dei High School, and he is even believed to be the first African-American principal to lead a Catholic high school in the United States. Francis, who passed away in 1997, was inspired by the Watts Towers and believed Verbum Dei was Watts Towering, making boys of Watts the towering men of Los Angeles. His sister, Mabel Francis, continues to be inspired by his legacy.
It makes me feel proud because of the fact that he was Black and he was in a Catholic school making a difference. And I think they realized that he had the qualities and the intelligence and the drive and the ability to handle all-Black Catholic school in the time back in the 60s, which was, sort of unheard of.
And under Francis's leadership, the school continued to prosper. In 1965, a year after the new school building opened, it managed to be spared during the Watts Rebellion, which resulted in the destruction of over 600 buildings in the working-class Los Angeles neighborhood. Community, which may have been the saving grace of the campus during the early rebellion, always seemed to blossom at Verbum Dei. Listings in the newspaper would showcase events held by the school's active booster club, which raised money for the campus through dances and entertainment. In fact, Verbum Dei hosted annual Zydeco festivals that were open to the community to raise funds for many of its scholars. By the end of the 1960s, the school had 320 students enrolled, which was nearly 5 times enrollment of its founding 9th grade class in 1962.
I attended Verbum Dei from 2011 to 2015, but I've been going up there since I was a small child. My older cousins went there, my older brother went there. I grew up exactly a mile from the school. I'm from Watts, born and raised. So yeah, it was the closest school that wasn't my home school. So my home school was LA Jordan, which there was no real scenario I was going there. And especially with Verb being right there, right up the street. So I was very thankful to be able to go to Verb, and it was a part of my community since ever.
In June of 1967, Father Francis was appointed to the Western Provincial role of the Divine Word Missionaries, leading over 50 priests and brothers in the Western states. Father Fisher Robinson, another leader in the Society of the Divine Word Missionary, took over the 320-student school. Fisher's first set of actions involved forming committees to direct school activities for the 1967-68 school year, including investments in athletics. In its 5-year history, the Verb has held informal basketball games and developed quite a competitive football team. In 1967, the Verb's JV soccer team faced off in a California Interscholastic Federation (CIF) divisional game, and its burgeoning basketball team had challenged the most seasoned high school basketball players in the Catholic Athletic Association and the CIF playoff games. In January of 1968, Verbum Dei found itself ranking 5th in the CIF, and later that year, the Los Angeles Times acknowledged the school as a top competitor in the local CIF league sports under the coaching of George McCorn. Between 1969 and 1974, the Verb won 6 consecutive CIF titles and earned the reputation of being a formidable, if not an unbeatable, opponent in the local league. The school produced star college basketball players including Roy Hamilton, David Greenwood, Raymond Lewis, Donnie Daniels, and many others. In Watts, the Verb developed a prestige of being the best basketball team in the region, with many students vying to go to Verbum Dei because they felt like it was the equivalent of the UCLA basketball team at a high school level. The most inspirational parts of these basketball victories is the students were winning without state-of-the-art facilities. Despite their growing campus and off-site home courts, at the height of Verbum Dei's basketball performance, the Washington Post ranked the Verb as the 4th best high school basketball team in the United States in 1974. But that consecutive basketball dominance came to an end when Verbum Dei lost the championship game of 1975, and the team broke its playoff streak in 1977 when it didn't make the CIF semifinals, a first in a 10-year bout of dominance. By the end of the decade, the Verb's basketball team claimed a final title in 1979, which would be its last for the next 15 years. While its basketball dominance cooled off, Verbum Dei continued to reach for the exception. By the early 80s, the school began sending more than 85% of its students to college through sports and academics, and boasted a 99% high school graduation rate. Its football team secured 2 CIF titles back-to-back under the leadership of longtime Verbum Dei coach Lalo Mendoza in the early 80s. In the mid-90s, Verbum Dei made an astounding comeback in sports, winning 2 back-to-back basketball championships in 1994 and 1995 under the head coach Mike Kearney, the first championship the school received in 15 years. At the turn of the century, Verbum Dei's enrollment declined drastically to 186 students, a near 50% drop in enrollment since 1987. In turn, the school sought the help from the Archdiocese of Los Angeles to pay more than $700,000 in expenses to keep the Verb's doors open. In an unsustainable position, the Archdiocese solicited the help of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, to help support the school financially. The Archdiocese appointed Father William Wood as president of Verbum Dei, who pushed for the school to adopt an academic and funding model used by the Cristo Rey Jesuit High School in Chicago. an initiative that implements a corporate work-study program in Catholic high schools to subsidize student tuition.
As we all know, college prep education is very expensive and private education is expensive as well. But part of the income that the students earn from their full-time job, so 4 students split one full-time job, that money comes to pay part of their tuition. But this is really a win-win. It helps to fund a school, but it also gives the student a wonderful, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Around this time, Cristo Rey's corporate work-study program was implemented in one Catholic Chicago high school. Today, this model is carried out in 37 schools across 24 states in the country. While the Cristo Rey network expanded to include brand new Catholic schools, Verbum Dei remained the exception as being the network's only pre-existing school, and this conversion came at a cost. In the first transitional months, basketball and football coaches adjusted to students missing practices and games that conflicted with the corporate work-study schedules. This, however, was a temporary setback that the teams learned to plan around.
We have different types of companies. We have a lot of law firms, so in the legal field. We have some in the healthcare field. We have a lot of financial institutions, wealth management. We really have a mix. And so the career preparatory isn't just about going to work. It's about expanding the imagination. It's about bringing those questions and seeing how the world really works and bringing that back into an academic environment, into a classroom that's more controlled, and doing an analysis and picking that apart and saying, okay, why does this happen? And how do I fit into this? And what does it mean to be from the community I'm in and to see these different communities around Los Angeles?
I personally love my work experiences. I was able to work with some really intelligent, really powerful people who helped guide me through not only my professional development, but also like my college selection process. I personally believe like the corporate work study program is the biggest cheat code Verbum Dei gives to students. I was able to go to college with a 4 years working experience.
While the work-study program secured funding and provided students with tangible skills, the move to the Cristo Rey model also limited the once open enrollment at Verbum Dei to only low-income students. This policy, while crucial to the Cristo Rey designation, excluded several alumni who are unable to send their children to the school because they earn too much to qualify as low-income parents, which unironically confirms the success of Verbum Dei's mission. Despite the tension, the corporate work-study program has changed the trajectory of thousands of Verbum Dei students, while the school has continued to offer the same college preparatory education that fortified the trajectory of thousands of alum. While the Cristo Rey model fundamentally changed Verbum Dei, it allowed the Watts community to continue to reap the academic and sports benefits the school has provided for decades. Today, Verbum Dei still sits on the same busy South Central Avenue next to the same Union Pacific train tracks in the same neighborhood of Watts. While the school saw a renaissance in the early 2000s, the spirit of the institution remains true to its roots. Sports continues to remain at the forefront of the school as it holds an impressive record of 3 national titles, 6 state titles, and 21 CIF titles across football, basketball, baseball, soccer, cross country, and track. College preparation continues to take precedent on the campus too. In 2015, Verbum Dei reported a 75% 4-year college acceptance rate and a 97% on-time graduation rate.
My biggest hope is that they're inspired enough to come see Verbum Dei for themselves. Because, as I say, no tour guide in LA is going to take you there. And it's an experience that you'll never be able to buy no matter how much money you have. And we welcome everyone on campus, and we love showing Verbum Dei off. So I would welcome anybody to come down and take a tour.